Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Chirping on Causeway. This podcast is brought to you by Boston Sports Entertainment Network. My name is Liv. You can find me on Twitter at Front Frederick, or you can find the podcast at Causeway Chirps or Chirping on Causeway on Instagram. I'm very excited because I'm going to have a very special guest today called Bobbie Brewski. I'm going to introduce him now, and he can kind of introduce himself rather and get us started here.
Cool. Well, first off, thanks for having me, Liv. I'm so jacked up to be on Chirping on Causeway. I've been a big fan for the few episodes you've done, but super rad to see you finally doing something like this. And yeah, I'm Bobbie Brewski. You can find me at Only Bruins Pods at Primetime Productions. Probably know me from Bobbie's Corner and on Twitter as Bobbie Brewski. I am the guy that loves Matthew Patra and will chirp any fan, including his own fan base. So, what's up?
I'm wicked excited. I like Bobbie said, everyone knows Bobbie Brewski and everyone knows what he has to say. So I'm wicked excited to have him on here, and we have a lot to talk about. We can start with the trade deadline. We clearly did a lot, I would say. We started on Tuesday. We traded Trent, and then Wednesday we traded Justin Brazeau, and then Friday was a huge day. We did Carlo, Coyle, and Brad Marchand, which some could say was a little bit surprising. I think, for Trent Frederick and Justin Brazeau, it wasn't as surprising. But for the rest of, Brad, Coyle, Carlo, that was a little bit surprising for us. So I don't know. What do you think, Bobbie? What do you think it did for us here?
Yeah, like you said, it was like the way they it was funny the way they did it because it was kind of like the meter went up and up and up. It was like, Trent went and it was like shocking, but the return was so good where you were like, oh, like, okay, wow,
Yeah.
all right. I didn't even know Edmonton had all that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, right.
And like he gets to go to a contender, like a team that came up a goal short from the finals last year. So I'm excited for him in that regard. I'm sure being a kid who grew up in St. Louis, hearing, the mythos of the 3 months when Gretzky was there, and he's probably like, I'll never get to play with a Gretzky like caliber. And then gets Bergie, he gets Chara, and now he gets McDavid and Leon. It's like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
He should be he's supposed to be a roofer, instead he's, defending Connor McDavid. So it's sick. The Brazeau thing was awesome because we got Lauko back, and like with all of the stuff that came out with like the Pat Maroon trade and like the medical clearance that was sort of fumbled at the, Charlie McAvoy of Team USA and Billy G's medical team. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I literally thought of Lauko on the 2 times he's been injured this year. And I was like, he's got to get out of there. Like,
yeah,
someone has to save him if that's the case. And then we got him back and I was just like, I'm here. But with that being said, because we got Lauko back, it was like, oh, they're doing something tomorrow. Like somebody, like if you're making Zach and Pasta happy, there's a follow through. And then we saw it. Charlie Coyle going to Colorado, being someone who lives in Winnipeg, obviously home of the Jets. They're top of their division. This is the year they're supposed to make it. Like Mikko Rantanen's out of the conference, and then Colorado goes and gets Brock Nelson, and arguably the best third line center that you can get in the market in Charlie Coyle. It's like, oh. And the worst part is he looks so good there. Like he fits the jersey. He fits their team. Carlo going to the Leafs stung. That was shocking because it was the Leafs, and I just didn't think you were allowed to trade within a division still.
Right. Literally.
And the thing with Carlo, like we'll follow up more on it, but I shocking, but also like same thing. He goes to a contender, and like maybe he's the missing piece there.
Yeah, right.
Like he's that good. He could be the guy that propels them. But yeah, and then that other what else happened at the trade? Do you want to go into that? Or let's phrase it, where were you when Brad Marchand got traded from the Boston Bruins?
Yeah, where was I? I think I was just at home, to be honest with you. I think I was on my couch and no, actually, I was in my kitchen and I called my mom and I was like, they just traded Marshy. Marshy's going to the Panthers. Like, this is crazy. My mom was like, literally mid hair getting done. Like, and she was like, Marshy's getting traded. And I was like, he's going to the Panthers. Like, what does this even mean? And her first question, naturally, as other people probably were, she was like, what is the return? And I'm like, I have no idea. We don't know yet. Like, that was the crazy part, is they made us wait and wait and wait on what's going to be the return for Brad Marchand. So,
And yeah, and that's the part that probably sucked. That, I mean, there are a lot of things that suck about that trade, but that's
yeah.
what sucked the most. Like the returns we got for Coyle, Freddie, and Carlo were like, had me almost being like, maybe like, first off, maybe like I should get some of like, you know, my stick taps, because I did say a few weeks ago, like,
Yeah.
I'm a little excited to see what Don's going to do with the team that's not good enough to make the playoffs and not bad enough to tank.
Exactly.
What is Don Sweeney going to do? And then he did that, and I was like,
wait. Time out. Yeah.
and then, yeah, to only get a conditional pick for your, you know, someone who like is like pondered about whether or not he'll be part of the Bergeron statue.
Yep.
Like, but yeah, like, and it's just, I think the fact that it went down to the wire tells you a lot about the situation and like the marriage that essentially they divorced in that moment.
Definitely.
The destination tells you a lot about the feelings that are hurt on both sides. And like, make no mistake, like, this is like, as fans, like, we're children of the divorce now.
Right.
The only people that lose are us.
Yeah.
You know? The Panthers win, obviously, because they get a cornerstone playoff player, and it's like all of a sudden going back to back's more realistic for them now. But it's like, we get a conditional pick.
It's
And the
tough.
conditions are pretty wild.
Yeah. It's like, you know, I've seen this over and over again about like the discussion of like how this next like group is going to go, like, you know, for the trades and just the, what is the actual word I'm looking for here? Like the draft, like how it's going to go. It's not like how these past couple drafts have gone. So it's, you know, it's a little concerning. It's a little bizarre how those picks will actually go. But I don't know, like someone who's not too upset to lose Marchand, I'm okay with it. I'm not super happy with the return, naturally. Like, I'm not ecstatic about the return. I'm not super confident in the return, but I almost get the trade. Like, I get what we were trying to do in this trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
Even starting a Trent, like Trent, Brazo, Carlo, Coyle, Marshy, like, I get it. Like, you know, you might as well. It was time to just like rip off the Band-Aid, kind of make your whole new group and put that on, like, you know, Sway, McAvoy, Pasta, even Zaka. Like, if you want to make that our new group, like our core group, I mean, I guess I get it. Like, so what are you going to do besides trade the rest and see what you can get for them? But I don't know. It's still a lot of differences in like what will make for this group here going on, and then like next season and so on. But yeah.
So just to remind folks, like, what we got back with the Trent Frederick trade. It's a few different moving parts. I just lost all the details, but so first off, we're paying Trent 50% still.
Mm-hmm.
But we got St. Louis's second round draft pick in this upcoming draft, and we've got Edmonton's own fourth round draft pick in 2026, which I believe is what they used to get that kid from Buffalo.
Yep.
So essentially Edmonton, just give people a backstory. Edmonton got kind of pouched last summer, and two of their RFAs ended up getting sent from a Stanley Cup final team to St. Louis, and because of the way that all that gets worked out with the claims and everything, they got draft picks in return rather than having to pay these guys. So, but yeah, good deal for both sides.
Yeah, for sure.
Suck to lose Trent though.
Yeah.
And not because it's you, because it's like I love Trent Frederick. Like, I know he didn't have the offensive input that we were hoping for this year, and I'm sure him and his agent are the same boat. But what he did, like, he never had a shift where I was like, maybe Trent should have a night off.
Right. Yeah. It just sucks.
Like, a lot what he does off the puck is why you got a second round pick from him.
And I don't know, like, I feel like people are just like, I don't know, he gets beat in the corners, he gets beat on the side, like, which is not incorrect. But there's also so much to take from what Trent can do. And I think I said this to Bobbie like earlier, but selfishly, I would love to see what Trent could do with the lineup right now, because I don't know, I just think he does do a very good job at getting in the kind of like sneaky areas, he does do well in the corner. There's just sometimes where he doesn't. But I do understand completely the trade for him, because kind of in his defense too, he needed a change of scenery, I do believe. So between him getting a change of scenery and just like changing the whole like aspect of the team, I think does it well for changing our like offense, our PK, our power play, just everything. It makes it different. Like, we needed a different look for everyone. Like, not just here and there, but not getting rid of, but like trading our Coyle and Carlo kind of made a difference for like other people to step up and really like step into different roles and do what they knew they could do. And it just was different. I don't know.
Yeah. Another thing too that I liked, and I'm not, and I just want to preference this. I'm not Team Don Sweeney. I'm not being paid to pump his tires, but one thing I really appreciated from him, especially in this trade deadline, because most teams that are dealing are quote unquote contenders or are playoff teams, but I feel like every team he actually dealt with are legit Stanley Cup contending teams. Like, Edmonton was a goal away last year.
Yep.
Given they took the long way to get there, but
but still,
and it's like, and he gets to play with Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl. Like, it's like, whoa, and like, he's excited. Like, we were talking a little bit about it beforehand. Like, this is a kid whose other option in life is to be a roofer.
Right.
Like, he's supposed to be working for his dad's company. And now he's going from playing with Dave Pastrnak to Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah.
Like, come on. And he doesn't have to wear an ugly jersey once in his career so far.
Yep.
Like, huge. Some people have to wear those Minnesota jerseys. Like, that's pretty brutal. You know, like, pick a color scheme, will you?
Boston Bruins. No.
Yeah. Happy trails, bud. Thank you for your service.
Right.
I guess Braz is the one where I'm like, you'll like Minnesota. They have big trucks.
Yeah, right. You'll do okay. You'll make you'll do enough. Yeah.
But yeah, the Trent one, I think Edmonton fans already love him because he's hated out west already. And like I said, like Don probably could have sold him off to another team, got more, but he's selling, like, you got to give it to him. He sold him off to a team that's a contender.
Yeah.
And I think that goes in the long run. Like, that's a nice way to say thanks to somebody for being, you know, as I said, like not only a great Boston Bruin on the ice, but like a fantastic Boston Bruin off the ice.
Exactly. He really is, like, you know, if you're going to speak of anyone so highly, I'm very biased, but Trent Frederick is just an amazing human being. You know, you really can't deny it. he goes above and beyond for all of his fans and just the people that support him. So Edmonton is extremely, extremely lucky to have just a human being like him. But I will bring up Nick's comment here where he said, "Could you imagine the roof would be?" No, like I wouldn't doubt it a day in the world. I'd be like, "Bring a tornado."
That's literally why they made a Twisters too, like just
Yeah.
to like see what would happen if a tornado went over a Frederick roof. Like all the houses that stayed put, that's Freddie. That's like Frederick's doing.
That's Freddie work
You
right
know?
there.
Yeah.
But
It's
no,
great
yeah,
comment from Nick,
yeah.
though.
You can't. I'm biased. I'm extremely biased. I'll never not preface that, like that. I'm extremely biased, but like Trent Frederick, he's just the best. You know, like on ice, off ice, he's just the best person all around, and you really can't deny it. So Edmonton is extremely, extremely lucky to have someone like him. So that's all I'll say. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you one more funny Trent story that I got to experience. I can't remember if I said it on a video or not, but like when I was at Warrior last year during the trade deadline, funny enough, he came out, he did some autographs from his car or whatever. But I remember he was like, I gotta go. And then he spotted like a little kid. And he was like, well, no. He's like, he's like, I'll sign your stuff and then I gotta go.
Yeah.
But the kid was like in front of me, and I remember I just had this moment where I was like, he kind of looked at me being like, can you like, so I had to like crawl down and like did this kid's level, and I was like, he's the best. He's not gonna hurt you. Like he's like he may beat the shit out of people on the ice, but he's lovely off. Kind of like push this kid to Trent. I remember the dad being like, I don't know what you said, but got him out of his shell.
Yeah.
And then Trent stood there with him, or sat there with him for a couple minutes talking, like asking if he played hockey. He was like, just keep playing, like you never know. And I was just like, what's the best, dude? Like you're the best.
He really is. Like, again, I'm extremely biased, but he is just like the best type of like professional hockey player that I feel like you'd want. Like he's just so like, I know I'm professional and I know I'm way in the like hockey world, but I'm still going to take the time and thank the players or like the people that appreciate me, which I think goes, I don't know, I think it's just so underrated when players still do that these days because it's just, I don't know, it's just different. It's really cool.
There is a plethora of hockey books and books written by players once they've retired, and we're kind of in that phase, that new phase of new NHL stars, NHL players. He's one of the few guys from like, please write a book once you're retired.
Right.
Like you're gonna like you for sure have stories. Like I have problems. Like you probably will have me laughing like for days or crying, depending on what he wants to talk about. You know what I mean? So it's like he's one of the few guys who can probably say he knows what it feels like to lose a Stanley Cup without getting to the finals.
Yeah, for sure.
Not to get dark, but we will get dark at one point. I will bring that up. We will follow up with that.
We probably will get dark like pretty soon, I'd say, because just even like the I don't know, the past couple of years, it was electric, I'll say, to see Zadorov fight Bennett yesterday. Like it was like all I needed. I was like, yes, go through that and fight him. Like
I do want to get it. I do want to get into that. I want to get into this Bruins team now.
Yeah.
So we'll follow up with the trade deadline. There are some things I still want to say. You probably still want to say about BM63 and CC13 and stuff, but like Saturday, the way they came out against Tampa, I think because Tampa was like, and I can't remember Tampa's schedule, like Tampa didn't look that good.
Yeah.
But I think the Bruins being so good, I think Coop was kind of just waiting for us to kind of, he's probably like, oh yeah, I've seen this before. First 10 minutes. He's probably telling the guys like, yep, 10 minutes, just survive the first 10 minutes. Like we've seen this Bruins team.
Yeah.
And that 10 minutes turned into a whole period, and he was probably like, "Oh, okay, okay." And then the second period, like, it just felt like Tampa the whole time was waiting for us to slip up on our mistakes, and instead they slipped up, and then we capitalized. There was a part of me that thinks after that game, I don't know, like, this is just speculation. There's no insider. I wouldn't doubt if Cooper called Paul Maurice or texted him and been like, "I'd probably get ready for that game."
Yeah.
Not on an emotional level, but the physicality, because I don't know what it is. And I think like what it is like finally this team has nothing to play for. Like all the trades tell them the management, the ownership, most of the fans have given up on them.
Yeah.
And now they're just playing with house money. Like, oh, we
Whatever.
might make the playoffs, but we might get a top 3 pick.
Yeah.
So you put a bunch of misfits like that, and it's like, because Florida, like, the most telling sign of that game last night was when Maurice was adamant that they should review the Reinhardt poke.
Yep.
He was adamant. And it's not because it's his job. It's because I think you could see the urgency in this Florida team being like, this is different.
Yeah.
Like, they're jumping in on us. Like they're finishing their checks. They're shooting the shots that they normally would pass up. Like,
yeah.
We have their captain. But it was one of those things where I was like, I don't know if that matters anymore.
Right.
I think they're just like, Marshy's gone. We're the Boston Bruins. Next period, next game. Like, and like Maurice being adamant that he wanted that goal to count. I was like, they're terrified. They're like, we give this team an inch, they could take a whole kilometer.
Yeah.
Like, and if it goes the way it's gonna go, like Florida doesn't want to play the Boston Bruins in the first round.
No.
Even if it's this incarnation, and I'm this is the hill. I found the hill. I'm dying on the hill until April 14th or whatever. No team in the Eastern Conference wants to play the Boston Bruins now.
Especially
Swayman, ready to go, amped up, finally locked in. Pasta on goal streaks. Like, Lorai, Zadorov being like, it's until those guys come back, like, you have to. And Zadorov's like, well, I'm not very good at speed, but I can beat the shit out of you.
Right. That's
and it's like
him and Zadorov, like Lorai and Zadorov. I'm like, they don't wanna, like, you're gonna have to beat them. Like, there's no easy way around those two. It's crazy.
And like going off of those two, there's been multiple clips, but the latest one I can think of is when Zadorov and Laura are at the Four Nations final. And he's like, it's crazy in here. Is it like this in the playoffs? And Laura just like gets speechless. And he's like, it's all, you just got to experience it. And you could see Zadorov like jacked up. And I remember like in November, he was like, no, I came here to play in the playoffs. Like, you like Don Sweeney can throw the white towel in. All the fans, I've seen you throw the towels. I've seen you wave the flags. Go ahead. I'm not throwing it in.
Right.
Like these guys signed here to play in the TD Garden in April.
I'm riding till the end,
Yeah. And last night showed like it's only 2 wins. They got 16 more to go. A lot has to go right.
You put that up there. Peak looked unbelievable last night too. Zadorov worked out to you.
This is Nick of this is Mel from Something's Bruins, by the way.
Which is
fantastic Bruins podcast.
Great podcast.
Add it to your weekly.
Between them and Only Bruins, I mean, that's all you can ask for is those 2 podcasts because they really, really, really know what they're talking about. But exactly, like, I mean, Zadorov.
And him beating the wheels off Sam Bennett, I feel like might have been the trajectory. Like it was one of those moments where I'm like, is he gonna fight Brad Marchand if they play in the playoffs?
Oh my god. To be honest,
like Marshy's okay with people punching him.
I'd be okay with
part of the game. It's a-okay. It's part of the game. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to kill each other.
I would love.
And that was the thing I thought about. It was like you were just caught taking photos with our former captain. Love you, TB guy.
Love you, Papa.
And it was like that was the point. I was like, I feel like a little bit of a message was sent. I don't know if like I don't want to speculate too much, but like, and I hate to give WEI any credit, but I'm like, damn, maybe there was some fire with the Pastor Marshy falling out thing.
I love the whole You know, I will say I love
Great storyline now.
rivalry.
Sorry, go on. No, yeah.
Between like Florida and Boston. I do love it. I don't mind the whole, getting in between each other and fighting each other and just the convos. Like I'm here for that rivalry because I feel like we haven't had that good of a rivalry until, since Montreal or Toronto. But it's like how far can that go?
It's just so funny with that being said, like because of, like pre-COVID, Florida was like I didn't make sure I had the night off if the Bruins were playing Florida.
Exactly.
I liked Barkov. Like I was always like, that guy is so underrated, but he's in Florida. That stinks.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
And it's like to watch Bill Zito go there and to look at like because I remember when he got hired and the consensus was, why is everyone wanting to go to Tampa but no one's willing to come to Florida?
Right.
And they like, I think I'm kind of paraphrasing Elliot Friedman because he nailed it. He was like, they figured it out. They saw what Tampa was doing and they replicated it.
Yeah.
And they might even be doing it better. And it's like they figured it out, and it's awesome because there were a few Florida fans I knew pre the meltdown who I was like, good luck, have a fun series. The ones I know, like I love them because the ones that somehow picked Florida as their team, they're riding the wave and ride it as hard as you can right now because we all know most times it fizzles out.
Right. Exactly.
Who knows? This might go on for the next 10 years. They might be the new Bruins, right? So,
oh God.
But like, yeah, with that being said, like it's fun. Like Florida, Boston games. I love getting into it with their fans, whether they're lifelong fans, whether they're just there to be shit disturbers. I'm like, no, you want to come at me? I'll do this all night.
It's unlike any other.
You have like,
it really is.
I have your captain. I'm like, no, you have Brad Marchand. That's not my captain anymore. Exactly. As far as I'm concerned, he's just a jersey at the back of the closet now.
Yeah, truly though, truly, it's like, what else do you have? Because bye, like
Yeah, like, and I've been through this. I'm not a stranger to this divorce, this dilemma. I'm a diehard New York Football Giants fan.
Yeah,
I watched the star of my franchise go to the place we were like, you go anywhere, but you're gonna go there.
Yeah,
and then you're gonna expect us to be happy for you.
That's what
like, people are like, I hope he goes and wins the cup. I'm like, I hope he goes to Game 7 and he loses.
Exactly. That's what I will say about Marchand is like everyone is so excited for him and so like anti-Marchand, and I'm like, he's a part of the Panthers now. Like I don't know what you expect. I don't want him to win. I don't want the Panthers to ever win. I don't care who's on there. Like no. Why?
This is going back to the Centennial season. Like one of the main shockers of who showed up, and to this day is still kind of shocking when you see him at any Bruins event, is Phil Esposito.
Yeah.
Phil was is to the day one of my favorite Bruins. I think he's one of the best players of all time.
But how
I think the teams you're a part of are amazing, but that relationship never mended.
Yep.
He said it. He said himself, "I'll only do something for the Bruins if in return they do something for me and my organizations,"
which is crazy.
He's like 78. Like you beat the Soviet Union in a Cold War on ice. Like you've done things bigger than the Boston Bruins in the Stanley Cup. Like what are you talking about
right now? Yeah.
You found Tampa. You found our biggest rivalry. Like you kept the Rangers alive when they should have relocated to Mars. Like what? And that's with Marchand getting traded. I'm like, I don't think this is as simple as like, I hope he comes back. I'm like, I think it's like he people forget he willingly twisted the arm and said, I want to go to Florida.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like, I don't know. So I want to ask you about this because I've been asked about it all day by strangers on the street.
Yeah.
So I was wearing my Bruins stuff. Where are you at with the Gap thing? Because they offered him his contract. He wanted 7.5. So it's like 1.2, 1.7 off. If you do the compromise number, it's maybe 750,000. Like, where are you at with it? Like that being like that minuscule of a difference.
to be honest, I don't think it's too much. Only considering what like Bergeron took like back in the day when he took his like cap friendly, like team friendly, whatever you want to call it. I just think it's too much, especially because, he's 37. He's had so many injuries, surgeries,
Tips.
whatever. Yeah, exactly. I just think it's too much. And he can be confident in himself, and I, applaud that and whatever, and I appreciate it. And he can think that he's like the best of all time. But for the Boston Bruins themselves, like as a whole team, I just don't see it because there's just so many different
I agree.
aspects that come to signing what he wanted to sign versus what Sweeney was offering or giving at the time.
And what Sweeney was giving, like, I wouldn't have given that.
Right.
That was the nicest thing to be like, we're just gonna pay you what you're being paid now the next 3 years.
Yeah.
And I get it's less than Lindholm, and what Lindholm's done this year
Which
isn't
is like
worth.
a
He's not
whole
living up to the contract.
Yeah.
But it was like, that's insane that they offered you that. Because
Yeah.
I was thinking like maybe 4. I'd give you 4 times 3.
That's what I was thinking.
And that's
Wait.
me being nice. That is me being like, I saw what you did at 4 Nations. I saw what happened when you were put in a high intense situation.
Yeah.
You're a smart hockey player whose body won't let you do what your IQ is telling you to do.
Right. And it's like, you've done so much for us in the past, and like your name alone is so much, but we have to think like 5 years ahead, 3 years ahead, just future in general. And you're 37. You've had so many surgeries. You've had so many injuries. There's only so far that we can go, and they did. They went as far as they could, which I think is fair. And so I don't know. I'm not mad with. I'm not Don Sweeney's like biggest fan, but I'm also not.
Yeah. That's the best GM to have, to be honest with you.
Exactly. I'm not upset with what he did. Like I'm not totally mad at what he offered to Brad Marchand.
So I'm gonna yap here about Marchand because I want to get this out here.
Yeah.
Because it's been a few days, and I kind of my take of what has happened.
Yeah.
Because I know you're on the same page as me.
Go
Because
off.
I said on OB, I was okay with moving on from Marchand after last season.
Yep.
I was like, you had your captaincy, you're the centennial captain, yada yada yada. But if something were to happen and you were to leave or get traded or you didn't come back, I wouldn't be mad.
Yeah.
And here's where all of this ties into.
Yep.
And there are some talking points that I do feel bad. I'm in people's ears every week, and I'm sure there are things I bring up and they're like, oh, this again. But it's all starting to come full circle, and all of the things I'm saying are starting to connect.
Yep.
You can thank me later, okay? Buy me a Heineken Silver. Dominic Tiano, the Dom father, was on the Only Bruins podcast earlier this season.
Yeah.
He had mentioned within the organization that the ownership felt that somebody or maybe multiple people need to pay the tab of 2023 because what happened was unacceptable and is embarrassing. And for hockey, it might have been the best thing that happened, but it was the worst thing that happened. What people don't understand when you have an organization in a business like the Boston Bruins and you have 40 wins in February, you start making deals and promises based on this team going far in the playoffs, like corporate deals, box seats, contests, all this stuff. Absolutely. Jacobs and the co did, and all that got eliminated when Verhaeghe let that puck go off his thing. I have said for 2 years, not the goal, just the sound of that puck drifting off his blade has echoed in the halls of the TD Garden, of Warrior Ice Arena. Right. That sound is always lingering on the back of everyone's heads.
Absolutely.
We thought maybe Jim Montgomery was the problem, and I was out on him after Toronto.
Yep.
And I'm going to follow up on that. You blow back-to-back 3-1 series leads. Sorry. There's something wrong here. I don't care if they won. I'm going to tell you why they won and why we saw everything we should have seen last summer.
Right.
2023, Marshy gets a chance in Game 5 to just put it away. And I don't care if you're yelling at the screen, you're shut up, blah, blah, blah. He had it on his stick.
He had to bury it. He had to bury that.
I don't care if it's the end of your shift. I don't care if it's been a hard series. You're Brad Marchand. I listen to David Goggins' audiobook every morning. I'm hard. I'm mentally here. Blah, blah, blah. You have to bury that. He doesn't bury it.
Absolutely.
A few games later, overtime, Pasta hits the post.
Yeah.
We all know what happened. Carter Verhaeghe.
Unfortunately.
Toronto. TD Garden, Game 7. Same scenario.
Yeah.
Game 5, they don't get it done. Game 6, they don't get it done. Game 7 in overtime. And I know Pat Maroon said, oh, they weren't nervous in the room. They knew they were going to win.
Oh, Pat Maroon.
You telling me when Pasta scored that goal, it wasn't that Pasta's the man. It was he was like, no, I'm not letting this slip past me.
Exactly.
I'm not letting this happen again. Yep. And in the Florida series, when you look back, I know Marchie had the big hit against Tkachuk, but that was Pasta's Bruins team.
Yeah.
He led that team. He fought Tkachuk. He scored the big goals. He set up the plays.
Yeah.
That was looking back, because Marshy didn't have a single moment in those playoffs. He had some good moments against Bertuzzi. He had some big goals in Toronto.
But not the same.
But when push came to shove, Pasta's the one that bails you out. Yep. I think that was a moment where Don should have looked at Jim and said, sorry, go to St. Louis. And they should have looked at Marchand and was like, you're not coming back.
Exactly. Which is
That's crazy. Where I'm at. And I think that's why you shouldn't be shocked that he's gone.
I agree that, he kind of needed to be gone. As some people think it's crazy and insane and unjustifiable or whatever. I don't even know if that's a word. But he did. He, for whatever we're doing right now, we needed to have a whole regroup, a whole core, I don't know how else to word that, but we just needed a regroup. We needed a whole different section of people.
And I think not finally, but losing the final act of peace of the 2011 team.
Yeah.
I think that does wonders for the locker room. And I'm not saying Brad was toxic. I'm not saying that. Just sometimes not being constantly reminded of what had happened or what has happened is good for when you want to look at the future and what could happen.
Exactly.
You don't have someone there well, I did it in my second year in the NHL and then I lost 2 other cups. You just have a bunch of guys who've never won it. You had guys that came close.
Right.
When they were kids.
So
it's their team now.
They want to go. They want to go as far as they can. They want to do what they can. And I think that's what we've been seeing right now with the past 2-3 games. I know we lost 3 games ago against Carolina, but it was still.
And they should have won that game.
It was that
was a gimme.
Yeah. It was a good hockey game. They should have won that one. So the fact that they won the next 2, it's pretty big. Yeah.
And the fact that they lost the game on a broken stick.
Yeah. Oh god.
It was the thing that was this sums up the Bruins season. But now, like I said, it's only 2 games. I'm not trying to jump to conclusions. I'm a fan. I love this team.
Yeah.
I don't want to cheer for losses.
Never.
I'm looking at that play now and I'm like, that is so funny. 2 games in, completely different speed. They're all fast. Casey Middlestat, change your number, but you look great. maybe wear 44 since it's available now. That would look sick.
Change to 11 because it ain't right.
Too soon, bro.
But you're fine, I guess.
But it's one of those things where I'm like, maybe that stick breaking turns into and that was the moment. That was okay, we're done messing with you.
Yeah.
That was the last ha 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 moment. Because after that, it all changed.
Now we're serious. Now we mean serious business. Yeah. But I don't know. Who's
And like going with the future, because the one thing I want to talk to you, how do you feel about Butch Cassidy?
okay.
Because I'm about to bring Butch up, but
So biased, I hate him because I've seen too many I've seen too many perspectives, I guess, of him just yelling at Trent. Like, I mean, not even like correcting him, but just like yelling at him, putting him down, and just not even like creating a better aspect or like a better area for him. You know what I mean? Other
yeah,
than
he
that,
did not know what he had in Trent.
exactly. Other than that, I don't really have anything negative to say about him. I think he is a good coach. Absolutely. I just don't think he has enough like compassion, I guess, for some players, for certain areas of players or certain like levels of players. So, I don't love him. I don't hate him, but I just have
But
a distaste for him. Like, if you know what I mean.
and I'm glad you brought up the lack of compassion, because that was one of
His biggest flaws. Yeah.
yeah, and it's still a flaw today. Like when
For
those
sure.
NHL ratings came out, he's one
Yep.
of the coaches that players would least like to play for.
Yeah.
Also, side note, he got a haircut before Game 7 against St. Louis, and that's always bothered me
Yeah.
because I was like, you were anticipating winning, and then you didn't play David Backus, the St.
And then
Louis
what
guy.
did you do? Yeah. Yeah.
But he said early in that summer when Marchand got named captain that he was like, it was weird because he congratulated him and he said, I'm a little worried about Marchand with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you're saying that? But then I remember that always like stapled in the back of my head.
Yeah.
There's been moments where they try to implement kids into the lineup because
right.
that's all you have.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, maybe. And I'm not saying it's only 2 games. Like, obviously, this is a team playing with house money, but it's like, yeah, maybe having Family Lifestyle come up and getting barked at by Marshy because he overturned a puck is a little too daunting.
Right. I
Where
agree.
Pasta, it's a little more like Pasta's like, yeah, I came in this organized. Like, it's a little more relatable. Where it's like, dude, I showed up after they won a cup and they
Yeah.
went to the finals. Like, it was terrifying. It was like, we lost Sagan. You're next. Like, he for sure was like
A little grace.
amped.
Yeah.
But it was like, why can't I just play hockey? Why
Right.
can't
Yeah. No, I
And I
agree.
think having a guy like that as a main leader in the locker room, so we don't know who's gonna be the captain yet.
Right.
It's like that's maybe a guy you can approach a little more because
Right.
you're like, hey, like when you were year 3 and you were struggling on the third line or whatever, when Butch would demote him, like how
Right.
did you handle that? Because Marshy never got demoted to a lower line.
Exactly.
Like, what's Trent supposed to say to Marshy? Like, hey, when you
Yeah.
went and played for like 2 weeks in the fourth line, and then went and played Bergeron, like, how did you handle that adjustment?
Right. Yeah. But
So it's
I
like,
mean, Pasta took it pretty. I mean, as well as you could consider at that time.
mhm.
I
So
don't.
it's that thing too, and with some of the acquisitions they got, like Will Zellers, who's
Yes.
like top in the U.S. National League. That's not what it's called, but U.S. National Development.
Close enough.
Um, who like I know some people are a little like, oh well, he played like Shattuck, like so did Jonathan Tays, by the way.
Yeah.
Regardless how you feel about him, he played there. But you want to look at like peculiar players who played in organized like leagues you weren't familiar with. Cale Makar
Yeah.
played in like the Alberta Beer League for juniors or something like that before he, played anywhere else. And it was like Colorado saw something. That's why with Will Zellers, I knew the name. And when I signed the deal, I was like, yeah, you say yes to that every time. And when you're bringing in players with that kind of potential, yeah, like having someone who just like who was a problem in the organization early on, like it took playing with Recchi and Marsh and Bergeron to like smarten up. I was like, yeah, it's the right move. And I'm not trying to just like bash Marchand for 30 minutes. I'm just trying to get Boston fans to get excited for the future. And it's like, this
No, I
is
agree.
sick. And it's like, you have a kid from Toronto whose name just escaped me, but he's part of the Carlo deal. Fraser Minton. Every Toronto fan, minus 2 I know that I trust, online have said, oh, he's maybe third line center.
Yeah.
When other people are projecting him to be a top 6 center. And it's like, you need people in the organization who's going to bring you up and not just be like, this is the standard, here's what you do. And I just feel like the leadership group they have is like, it's insane. Like, you have Swayman. Like, Swayman's not supposed to be the starter.
Right. And
He's supposed to like be in the conversation. And now here he is. Like,
right.
McAvoy was like, I'm going into the NHL.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, whoa, like play in the A. And he's like, no, I'm ready.
Seriously.
Like, so it's like,
we have a good group.
Yeah.
Like, whether people believe it or not, we do have a good, solid core group to back up, like, who we lost. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm kind of
excited.
I was going to say, I'm kind of excited. Like, like, I'm not expecting us to be, like, first in the Atlantic or first, like, anywhere for a few years.
And they're done that.
No, exactly. Like, I'm kind of excited to just kind of be like, I tweeted earlier, I was like, underdog is still kind of a good trope. Like, I'm okay with being underdogs. Like, we can't underestimate all these guys that are coming into the organization. Like, they still clearly have something. They mean something. They want to do it for this club. So I'm not, I'm kind of excited. I'm not super bummed. I'm excited for what's to come.
Yeah, there's definitely an aspect of like, you don't know what's going to happen. That is just like, whoa, because this could go south. Like, this he could tank, and Pasta can go up to Donnie. And he's like, yeah, maybe maybe I want to go. Like, Mika Ryan got paid a lot of money.
Yeah,
like, maybe my contract's pretty movable now. Now that all the superstars have paid $3 million more than me, but it's like, I don't know. I just like, it's one of those moments. Yeah, and like going back to Florida, like they had a trajectory. Like that moment that Marchand didn't bury the puck, and they're like, "Oh, we have a chance!" Like, that changed the trajectory of their entire organization and of the entire NHL.
Absolutely.
And like, there's a moment where I was like, we didn't have that, and it's like maybe trading Marchand, and with Coyle, like I said, the package was too good to say no to. Regardless of, because I'm not Elias Lindholm's biggest fan.
Right.
I don't even know if I wasn't even a fan of him in Vancouver or Calgary.
Either. Yeah, I'm not.
I was always like, someone's gonna give him a lot of money and they're gonna regret it.
They are right now. But everyone else,
But it's like with him kind of finding a spot in the third line center role, and that price point is probably gonna be what goes for third line centers. I was like, you got to get rid of Coyle then. Like we said, Mason Lohrei, like the emergence of him, I've said it all year. I've said it a little bit last summer. Like, somebody in the back end's gonna have to get moved.
Yeah.
And it's like no one's taking on Hampus's contract with his injuries. McAvoy's probably like the next closest player being untouchable.
Yep.
And like, so then you looked at Brandon Carlo and you're like, well, you make a lot of money.
You're like, bye.
Yeah. Love you. You're the Colorado Sun. Right. Like, I've seen Carlo score more goals than I've seen McDavid in person. So like,
but you're
crazy. Is he better? But like,
exactly.
But it's just crazy. And like I said, with the cap going up, like it's gonna go up like 20 million by 20 million in like the next couple of years. Like it's
a big gap.
Yeah. And I know we've been riding the wave on this season because it's not over, but just because I thought of this, because we're obsessed with it at Only Bruins. Who's your dream free agency get?
I have to think.
Whether that's like a trade or by sign. It can't be Trent. Sorry, he's got to get that because if you asked me that, like realistically, I'd be like, "Well, go get Jake DeBrusk back." Like, but I know Jake's not coming back.
Good question. 'Cause I don't know. Other
Well,
than
I'll
what
tell you mine then.
yeah,
And this has been the wave I've been riding
tell me
for the
yours.
last week or
Yeah.
two. He's kind of getting pushed out of Toronto. He's had success in the Garden now.
Mitch.
And Mitch Marner.
Okay. I can get behind that though. I can absolutely
Marcy's gone. I
Yep.
feel like when they were like, okay, we're gonna deal Marchand, we're not gonna move. I looked at that extra $6 million. I was like, you might be able to justify 14 million for Mitch
Honestly,
Marner.
I would
And
love
if Toronto's like, I'm not signing you, and the trend in sports is then I'm gonna go to the rival.
yeah. I could see that. I could see Mitch Marner as a Bruin, and I think he could do well. I would not hate that at all.
Like Mitch Marner and Elias Lindholm, then maybe the Elias Lindholm contract's not that bad all of a sudden.
I
If
can
he's
hate
got
that.
a winner, like it, that's the guy where I just keep looking at it. I'm like, you have the money, you have like,
You might as well. You might as well just full send. Yeah. I could see
and
that.
I feel like I asked it to you on your last week's pod when you had the girls on.
Hmm.
Now that we have an extra pick, because with the Marchand trade, that 2027, 2028, the conditional,
Yeah.
I'm part of the party that's like, they're not using that pick.
Yeah.
No way does Boston trade a play, like, unless it really goes south, like something happens, Swayman doesn't play next year.
I think there's got to be a wicked good. There's got to have to be a wicked good pick for them to actually.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, absolutely not.
Because
Like
it's like some of the contracts we have or whatever, like really not like I don't want to beat on him, but like Elias Lindholm, like
yeah,
because I think last week I was like, would you trade Morgan Geeky's RFA rights
yeah. You did.
to
You
get
asked,
rid of Elias Lindholm? But
and
now
I.
I'm like, extend Geeky and trade that pick
Mm-hmm.
for someone as like a packet to take on Lindholm's contract. Like, is that something you would entertain with that pick?
Yeah.
Like you're potentially losing Marchand for nothing in that case. You're losing Marchand to cover another mistake, essentially.
If I could just keep Geeky and lose Lindholm, I'd 1,000% sign that. Because Geeky, if I could keep Geeky with Pasta and Zaka, or at least with Pasta, send Lindholm anywhere else. Send Elias Lindholm anywhere, and I'm fine with
Yeah.
it. You know what I
Like
mean?
he's a great dude. He's a great person. Love
Absolutely.
his dogs, family, but it's just one of
Great
those things where
guy.
it's just like it's one of those things where it's like I know the season's not over. Like who knows where you're gonna be
Yeah.
now? But it's like, I'd
You
rather
gotta
take a
weigh
shot
in
on
the
Casey Middlestat than see what Lindholm turns into.
oh, Casey Middlestat. I need him to
Change
change
your number, dude.
numbers.
Change your number. 44 is right there. Middlestat 44 would look so sick.
Exactly. Anything besides 11 would look good.
It's too soon.
It is too soon. We haven't even, like you said, we haven't even had a funeral. We haven't had anything. It's way
Yeah.
too soon for an
He
11.
doesn't come back. No video tribute. Nothing.
No, nothing.
What are
Literally.
you talking about here?
Yeah, but I would, yeah, I would, I'd get rid of that if we could keep them. Yeah.
Just so folks are aware, because I forgot to tell you this, but so Casey's Middlestat, apparently his shelf life is 10 games, according to Colorado fans. He's great in the first 10 games, and then he dips out.
Lovely. We
got 8 more games of Casey Middlestat,
and then he's
and
done. Then he's gonna be
he's
silent.
done. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
I'll ask you one more thing, because I'm sure everyone else is wanting to know. If Trent doesn't stay in Edmonton, where's your ideal landing spot for Trent? Even though it might be obvious.
Without a doubt, I want him to go home to St. Louis for sure. If he can't end up anywhere else, I at least want him to go home to his family and just be comfortable in St. Louis. I think he'd do very well there. So if he can't stay in Edmonton, absolutely St. Louis is where I want him to go. Yeah.
So which St. Louis Blues jersey are you buying then? You buying the old free verse the retro one they wear every now and then. Gorgeous, by the way. I think you wear one of the modern ones that they wear.
I'm probably just wearing that blue home one, to be honest with you. Yeah. I'm a blue fan, so I'm probably just gonna wear that home jersey, to be honest.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, it would make sense because you were a Torrey Krug fan before Trent.
I was a huge Torrey Krug fan. They traded him, and then I was like, "Yay, Trent Frederick!" And then they said, "Haha, boom, and done."
Essentially.
So they don't love
No,
me.
every player you dig's going to St. Louis, essentially.
Yeah. So I'll never like any other player ever again. I've said that to my friends, but I'm like, I've already been like asking what jersey I want to get. I think I've landed on a Terry O'Reilly because O'Reilly's a fighter, good guy, So I think I'm going to land with a Bruins jersey of Terry O'Reilly for my games here.
Sneaky good.
Yeah, can't go wrong with
that.
that.
Doubt that.
Yeah, exactly.
Terry O'Reilly was a dog and a great coach too.
He's a great guy overall, so you can't go wrong with Terry O'Reilly. But if I have to go with another Trent jersey, hopefully St. Louis. He can't get number 11, so maybe he'll stay with 21.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to look that up, but
that's true. Yeah, 11. But
yeah,
I don't know. I'm cheering for him.
21.
I know. Yeah, I get it. It's not that I like the Andrew parents.
Yes,
exactly. Connection that I really liked.
I love that for him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because the idea of him going to St. Louis, I don't hate. Obviously, because he's from there, but I just like maybe I'm not. And like I know you don't want to go too much longer, but maybe this is bad for me to say, and after everything I've said on today's episode, but like I don't hate St. Louis.
Right. I don't either. I mean, I should.
I know. Like 2019 sucked, but I was like, if we're gonna lose to anyone, I'm glad we lost to you.
Yeah, I'm over it now.
Yeah, like it's. But now I'm like, like I kind of.
I don't hate it. I'd rather him win a cup with Edmonton this year, and then maybe ideally he wins a cup with Edmonton this year, hops over to St. Louis in the off season, and just kind of has fun and just plays hockey. That's my ideal kind of role for him. Win a cup, go home, just have fun,
So obviously I know who you're picking out of the West, but what's your dream Stanley Cup final this June?
Honestly, I want to see a repeat of Florida and Edmonton, and I want to see Edmonton just absolutely grill Florida so bad. That's my goal right there.
I'm with you.
But because I know you love Winnipeg, and I don't hate Winnipeg, so I wouldn't hate to see that either. But
I was on that wagon until Trent went to Edmonton.
And now
it was like, I don't know, I gotta cheer for my boy.
Yeah.
I gotta cheer for Trent. It's I'll always support Winnipeg, but if I'm pulling for anybody, it's
Trent's different. Trent, you gotta win, you gotta root for Trent. So
yeah, and I mean Edmonton and Winnipeg being in the playoffs has some great storylines.
Yeah,
and Brandon Tanev's back in Edmonton, so Trent can be reintroduce himself to Oiler fans by fighting him again.
Yeah, that would have
full circle moment.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Before we bounce out, I will say one thing because Paul Maurice said this. I think so. By the way, love Paul Maurice. Always love Paul Maurice.
Yep.
Had we known he was available, I'm sure Donnie would have called him. But when they won last year, he probably had one of my favorite speeches of all time. When they asked him, I've never been so happy for a dude. But
yeah,
he's listing out Ted Lindsay and stuff. He's like, and then Maurice, my dad's name's gonna be next to all those legends he grew up loving.
Yeah,
for you pops, I was crying. I was like, oh my god.
I do like Paul Maurice.
But then he looks at the camera and he's like, I've been very lucky, but one thing I want is for the Winnipeg Jets to win the Stanley Cup next year.
Yeah.
And it was one of those moments where Marchand got traded. I was like, oh, this would be such a great clip to bring back.
Imagine.
Because all my friends were like, Marchand to the floor. And I just sent him that clip. And I was like, never thought I'd want to see Marchand lose another cup.
Right. It's Winnipeg. Yeah. But I do think it should be interesting. This final, few weeks of teams playing here. Yeah.
I'm excited. And
I'm
just for everyone to know, it's been such a long season.
It has been
so many ups and downs. There was almost a part of me with the Centennial game where I was like, okay, it's done.
Yeah, right.
The Centennial stuff's done. Let's move on. And
yeah,
now that the deadline's passed and there's no paranoia and anxiety,
it's
just enjoy it now.
Yeah, exactly.
House money, enjoy it.
I agree.
Don't worry about that draft pick.
Right.
just enjoy hockey.
Oh well, just play the game.
Because as someone who's cheered for the team to lose, I'm gonna tell you right now, it sucks.
Yeah.
And I'm just not.
Just not here for it.
The naysayers who want them to tank, go to the blue sky, go to Threads, go tell it over there, dude.
Yeah.
Because on the X Twitter place, we're vibing.
Yeah.
We're vibing to the playoffs until we're eliminated.
We're just riding it out here. Yeah. Alrighty, I will I'll let you shout out you and your podcast one more time if you'd like to.
Yeah, once again, Bobbie Brewski again, as you can see there. Podhead. Shout out to Patra. Hopefully come back. Good luck in Toronto tonight, big guy. And you can listen to me on Only Bruins Pod. That drops every Friday at the Primetime Productions Network.
And
thanks for having me on again, Liv.
Absolutely. I was so excited to have Bobbie on tonight. You can find me on Twitter at Front Frederick. I don't think I'll ever change that, to be honest. So you can find me there. And you can find BSCN_617. Boston Sports Entertainment Network is what brings this podcast to you. So, have a great night. Follow all of us. And, go Bruins.
Let's go Bees.
Oh, I never know how to end it. I'm so sorry.
What happens after a Boston Bruin win as Jeremy Swayman and Lena Zolmark have their trademark celebration.